At 2:47 p.m., I was installing cabinets across town, hands smelling of varnish. At home, my security cameras caught my wife with another man in our bed. I'm Derek, 38, a custom furniture maker. My world shattered, but I didn't break. This is how I exposed the truth, protected my daughter, and rebuilt my life. What would you do with proof like this? Comment. Family, work, or silence? Next episode, we'll dramatize the top choice. The clock on Derek's workbench read 2:47 p.m., a Tuesday like any other in suburban Atlanta. His hands, rough from years of shaping wood, gripped a sander as he smoothed a walnut table for a client with a tight deadline. Sweat beaded on his brow, the air thick with sawdust and the tang of varnish. His phone buzzed in his pocket, a notification from the security system he'd installed 2 weeks prior. Derek, 38, ran a custom furniture business from his garage, a small operation that paid the bills and fed his pride in turning raw timber into heirlooms. He ignored the buzz at first, focused on the grain under his fingers, but it persisted, insistent as a splinter. He'd set up the cameras after Mrs. Torres, the neighborhood's unofficial sentinel, mentioned a suspicious car idling near his house. Could be kids, could be trouble, she'd said, her voice sharp with 70 years of watching the world. Derek, practical and protective, mounted the system to deter thieves, expecting nothing more than a stray delivery guy or a curious teen. He wiped his hands on his jeans, pulled out his phone, and opened the app. The screen flickered to life, showing a live feed from his home, 3 miles away. His stomach twisted as the image loaded. His wife, Elena, stepping through the front door, her laughter trailing behind her. Behind her strode Ryan, her co-worker, holding a bottle of wine like a trophy. Derek froze, the sander slipping from his hand, clattering against the workbench. Elena, 35, a marketing exec with a knack for closing deals, had always been the polished half of their partnership. They'd built a life together, 15 years, a mortgage, a daughter, Sophie, now 15, who grew up sketching designs beside Derek's tools. The feed switched to the hallway camera. Ryan, tall and cocky, tossed his jacket over a chair, his voice carrying through the mic. Henderson project's a mess, but we've got time. Elena's reply was a low murmur, too soft to catch, but her hand lingered on his arm. Derek's pulse hammered in his ears. He tapped the bedroom camera, dreading what came next. The screen showed them entering, the door clicking shut. His fingers hovered over the phone, torn between closing the app and watching the betrayal unfold. He didn't turn away. The audio captured whispers, a rustle of fabric, a clink of glasses. Derek's chest tightened, each sound a nail in the coffin of his trust. Ryan's laugh, smug and familiar from company barbecues, cut through the feed. You sure he's gone all day? He asked. Chicago job, Elena said, her voice casual, practiced. Derek's jaw clenched. There was no Chicago job. He'd lied about a last-minute contract to test a hunch, a nagging doubt born from late nights, and her new perfume, sharp and unfamiliar. The footage confirmed it. This wasn't a one-off. The app's timeline showed thumbnails from prior weeks. Same car, same man, same lies. Sophie's voice broke his trance. Dad, you okay? She stood in the garage doorway, backpack slung over one shoulder, her soccer cleats dangling from her hand. Practice had been canceled, and she'd walked home early. Derek slammed the phone face down, forcing a smile. Just worked, kiddo. Hungry? Her eyes narrowed, catching the strain in his voice, but she nodded. Starving. Can you make that turkey thing? He stood, legs unsteady, and led her to the kitchen. The routine of slicing bread and layering turkey steadied his hands, but his mind churned. Sophie chatted about a history test, oblivious to the storm in his head. He overdid the mustard, a yellow smear pooling on the plate. Whoa, Dad, easy, she teased, grabbing the sandwich. He mumbled an apology, his thoughts locked on the footage. As Sophie ate, Derek slipped back to the garage, locking the door. He replayed the clips, each one a fresh cut. 3 weeks of entries. Ryan's BMW in the driveway. Elena's laugh at 1:15 p.m., 3:02 p.m., 11:47 a.m. Always during Derek's work hours. Always under the guise of meetings. He dialed Mike, his oldest friend, who ran O'Malley's Pub, a local haunt where secrets spilled faster than beer. Mike, I need a favor, Derek said, voice low. Say I was at your bar from 6 to close tonight. Mike paused. What's going on, man? Derek exhaled. Found proof Elena's cheating. I'm handling it, but I need an alibi. Mike didn't push. Got you covered. Be careful. Derek hung up, his plan forming like a blueprint. He wouldn't confront Elena yet, not without leverage. He called Maria and Carlos, Elena's parents, pillars of their church and sticklers for vows. "Can I come by tonight?" he asked. Carlos's voice was warm but cautious. "Everything okay, Derek? I'd rather explain in person," he said. "Bring Maria. It's serious." They agreed, their tone shifting to worry. Derek pocketed his phone, grabbed his laptop, and glanced at the workbench. The half-finished table sat under a tarp, a reminder of what he'd built, and what he'd now tear down to protect his daughter and his dignity. Derek's truck idled 3 streets from his Atlanta home, the engines hum a faint anchor against the chaos in his mind. It was 6:15 p.m., the sky bruising purple as he sat, eyes fixed on his phone. The security app glowed, showing live footage of his driveway. Elena's car was there, parked neatly as always. He'd told her he was headed to Chicago for a fictional client, a test to confirm his suspicions. Her response had been too eager, a quick, drive safe, that now felt like a confession. His fingers tightened around the steering wheel as a silver BMW pulled in, Ryan's car, unmistakable from weeks of recorded arrivals. Derek's plan, sketched in the garage hours earlier, was now in motion. He slipped out, locking the truck, and cut through a wooded lot behind his house. The path led to an old oak in his backyard, its branches offering a clear view of the bedroom window. He crouched low, the damp earth soaking his knees. Through the glass, he saw shadows move, Elena and Ryan, their outlines sharp against the blinds. His phone buzzed, a text from Elena. "Ryan's here to wrap up Henderson stuff. Don't wait up in Chicago." The lie stung, but it fueled him. He tapped the camera feed, recording their entrance, Ryan with a bouquet, Elena shutting the blinds. The audio caught Ryan's voice, casual and smug. "Told you he'd buy the trip excuse." Derek's blood surged, but he stayed still, calculating. He dialed his home number, keeping his voice steady. "Hey, made it to Chicago," he lied. Elena's reply was breezy. "Good. Just finishing some work with Ryan. Henderson's a beast." He hung up, the call a time-stamped alibi for later. His next move was riskier. He texted Maria and Carlos, Elena's parents, who were already on edge from his cryptic call earlier. "Come to the house now. Bring your key. It's urgent." Maria replied instantly, "On our way." "What's wrong?" Derek didn't answer. He needed them to see, not hear. He crept to the back door, key in hand, and entered silently. The house smelled of Elena's cooking, garlic from last night's dinner, but it felt foreign now. He grabbed his old baseball bat from the hall closet, not for violence, but for presence, a prop to shift the power when the moment came. Upstairs, muffled laughter leaked through the bedroom door. His phone vibrated, a motion alert. The app showed Ryan's car still in the driveway, its license plate clear in the dusk light. Derek saved the clip, adding it to his growing archive of evidence. As he waited, a notification popped up, an email from Sophie's school. She'd been sent home early after a fight with a classmate, not just a canceled practice. Panicked, Derek checked the camera's history. A clip from 3 p.m. showed Sophie entering the house, then leaving minutes later, her backpack slung low. She'd been home during one of Elena and Ryan's meetings and might have heard something. Derek's heart sank. Had she known? He texted her, "Where are you, Soph?" No reply. He couldn't lose focus now, but the thought of Sophie carrying this secret tightened his chest. Maria and Carlos's car pulled into the street, their headlights slicing through the twilight. Derek met them at the back door, bat in one hand, laptop under his arm. Maria's eyes widened at the bat. "Derek, what's happening?" she whispered. Carlos, stern and silent, clutched his house key. "Follow me," Derek said, leading them upstairs. The bedroom door was ajar, the sounds inside unmistakable. He pushed it open. Elena and Ryan froze mid-embrace, the bouquet discarded on the floor. Maria gasped, her hand flying to her chest. Carlos's knuckles whitened around his key. Ryan, scrambling for his shirt, blurted, "It's not what it looks like." But Elena's silence betrayed her. Then, a phone rang. Ryan's, left on the nightstand. The caller ID read, "Patricia, Regional Director." Derek's lips twitched. Had someone else tipped off Elena's boss? "Sit," Derek said, voice low, pointing the bat at the bed. Ryan obeyed, his bravado gone. Elena clutched a sheet, her eyes darting to her parents. Derek opened his laptop, cueing the footage. 6 months, he said, hitting play. The screen showed Ryan's car arriving on different days, timestamps marking each betrayal. Maria's breath hitched as the audio played Elena's voice. "He's at work. We're fine." Carlos stepped forward, face like stone. You did this in your daughter's home? He asked Elena. She looked away, no words left. Derek stopped the video. I'm not here to fight, he said. I'm here to show you before I show everyone else. Maria's voice trembled. Why bring us into this? Because you raised her to keep promises, Derek said. And because Sophie deserves better. He turned to Ryan. You're done here. Get out. Ryan grabbed his keys, stumbling past Carlos, who didn't move an inch. As the BMW roared away, Derek faced Elena. This goes to Patricia tomorrow. Your call if you want to warn her. Elena's eyes flashed with panic, but she said nothing. Maria took Carlos's arm. We'll talk to Sophie, she said. She shouldn't be alone. Derek nodded, his mind already on the next step. Protecting Sophie and exposing the truth without breaking what was left of his family. The bat rested against the wall, untouched but heavy with intent. Derek sat in his truck at dawn, the Atlanta skyline a faint glow against the horizon. His laptop hummed on the passenger seat, loaded with a meticulously edited video, timestamps, license plates, audio clips of Elena and Ryan plotting their deception under the guise of work. The confrontation with Elena's parents, Maria and Carlos, had left him drained but resolute. Now, at 6:03 a.m., he was parked outside O'Malley's pub, waiting for Mike to open. He needed a clear head and a witness to his next move. His phone lit up with a text from Sophie, staying at Grandma's. I heard stuff yesterday. I'm okay, but talk to me soon. Derek's throat tightened. Sophie's message confirmed she'd caught fragments of her mother's betrayal. He typed back, Love you, sophomore. I'll come get you today. Mike unlocked the pub's door, waving Derek inside. The air smelled of stale beer and cleaner. You look like hell, Mike said, sliding a coffee across the bar. Derek set the laptop down, explaining the footage and his plan to send it to Patricia, Elena's regional director. Mike whistled low. That's a nuke, man. You sure? Derek nodded. They used work hours for this. Patricia needs to know. He spent an hour refining the file. A 5-minute clip with clear visuals of Ryan's car arriving, audio of their Henderson project excuses, and screenshots of texts Elena sent to cover her tracks. He attached a timeline, precise and damning, and hit send. The email whooshed to Patricia's inbox at 7:42 a.m. His phone buzzed again. Elena, calling. He let it ring, then listened to her voicemail. Derek, we need to talk. Don't do anything rash. Too late. He drove to Sophie's grandparents' house, a quiet Victorian on Maple Avenue. Maria opened the door, her eyes red from a sleepless night. She's upstairs, she said, leading him to Sophie's temporary room. Sophie sat cross-legged on a guest bed, scrolling her phone. She stood when she saw Derek, hugging him tightly. I heard them yesterday, she admitted, voice low. Mom and that guy? I didn't know it was like that. Derek knelt, meeting her eyes. I'm fixing this, sophomore. You don't have to carry it. She nodded, but her silence spoke of a trust fractured beyond her father. Carlos joined them, handing Derek a coffee. What now, he asked. Derek outlined his plan. The evidence was with Patricia, and he'd meet his lawyer, Jen, to prep for divorce proceedings. Carlos gripped his shoulder. You're doing right by Sophie. We'll back you. As Derek and Sophie left, Maria pressed a key into his hand, their spare for his house. In case you need us there again, she said. Derek pocketed it, grateful for allies. Back home, Derek checked the security app. No new alerts, but Ryan's car hadn't returned. He called Jen, who answered with her usual briskness. Got your message about the footage. Send me a copy. If it's as solid as you say, we've got a strong case for fault-based divorce. Derek forwarded the file, then noticed an unread email from Patricia, received your submission. I'll review and follow up by noon. His pulse quickened. The corporate machine was turning, and he'd lit the fuse. At 11:15 a.m., his phone rang. Patricia. Derek, I've seen the video, she said, her tone clipped. These are serious violations of our conduct policy. I need to verify the timestamps and context. Can you meet today? He agreed, setting a 2 p.m. appointment at her downtown office. Before leaving, he texted Mike. If anyone asks, I was at O'Malley's last night. Mike replied, covered. Stay sharp. Derek drove to Patricia's office, the laptop his only passenger. The building's glass facade loomed, a stark contrast to his garage workshop. Patricia, a woman of precise movements and sharper questions, greeted him with a handshake. This isn't personal, she said, but I need the full picture. Derek played the footage, narrating dates and times. She took notes, her pen scratching steadily. As the video ended, Patricia leaned back. Elena and Ryan will be suspended pending investigation. If this checks out, Termination is likely. Derek nodded, his jaw tight. He'd expected pushback, but Patricia's decisiveness surprised him. Then came the twist. She pulled out a printed email from Ryan, sent an hour earlier, accusing Derek of planting fake footage to sabotage their careers. He claims you hacked their phones, she said. Derek's stomach dropped, but he stayed calm. The cameras are in my house, legally installed. Check the metadata. It's untouched. Patricia raised an eyebrow. We will. If Ryan's lying, it's another strike against him. Driving home, Derek felt the weight of the accusation. Ryan's desperation could muddy the truth, but the footage was ironclad. He called Jen, updating her. Classic deflection, she said. Send me that email. We'll counter it in court if needed. At home, Sophie was waiting, her backpack packed. Can I stay here now? She asked. Derek hugged her. Always. They ordered pizza, a small act of normalcy. As they ate, his phone pinged. A text from Mrs. Torres. Saw Ryan's car circling the block. Didn't stop. Be careful. Derek's grip tightened on his slice. The game wasn't over. Derek leaned against his workbench at 7:18 a.m., the Atlanta morning heavy with humidity. His garage smelled of fresh-cut cedar, but his focus was on the laptop screen, where an email from Patricia, Elena's boss, confirmed the worst for her and Ryan. Immediate suspension, with termination likely after a final review. Derek's evidence, security footage, timestamps, audio, had done its job. He sipped black coffee, the bitter taste grounding him as he prepared for the next step, protecting Sophie and securing their future. His phone buzzed with a voicemail from Elena, her voice brittle. You've ruined everything. Call me back. He deleted it, unwilling to engage until his lawyer, Jen, laid out the legal path. Sophie shuffled into the garage, her hair tied back, holding a bowl of cereal. Grandma called, she said. She wants to take me to the aquarium tomorrow. Is that okay? Derek nodded, relieved she had a distraction. Go have fun. I'll pick you up after. Sophie hesitated, then added, Mom texted me. She's sorry, but I don't want to see her yet. Derek's chest ached, but he kept his tone steady. Take your time, sophomore. I'm here. She hugged him, her spoon clinking against the bowl, and headed back inside. He checked the security app, no new alerts, but Mrs. Torres's warning about Ryan's car circling the block lingered. Jen called at 9:05 a.m., her voice crisp. Patricia's report strengthens our divorce case. Adultery's clear, and their workplace violations lock in fault-based grounds. File today? Derek agreed, scheduling a meeting for noon. He drove to Jen's office, a small brick building near downtown, bringing his laptop and a USB drive with the footage. Jen reviewed the files, nodding. This is airtight. House, primary custody, most assets. You're in a strong position. She drafted the petition, citing Elena's infidelity and including stills from the video as evidence. Derek signed, his hand steady despite the weight of the moment. At 1:30 p.m., he stopped by O'Malley's pub to update Mike. The bar was quiet, a few regulars nursing early drinks. Mike poured Derek a soda. Heard from a buddy at Elena's company, he said. Ryan's spinning a story, says you doctored the footage. Derek's jaw tightened, but Jen had prepared him for this. Metadata's clean, he said. Let him dig his hole. Mike grinned, then lowered his voice. Word spreading. Mrs. Torres told half the neighborhood. People are on your side. Derek exhaled, grateful for the unspoken loyalty of his community. Back home, he found a note slipped under the door. Check your mailbox. A friend. Curious, he opened the mailbox to find an unmarked envelope with a printed photo. Ryan's BMW. Its windshield spray painted with homewrecker in red. Derek's pulse spiked. He hadn't done this, but someone had, a silent ally marking Ryan's shame. He tucked the photo away, unsure whether to feel vindicated or wary. His phone rang. Patricia. Investigation's complete, she said. Elena and Ryan are terminated for violating policy and misusing work hours. I'm sorry you went through this. Derek thanked her, the finality settling in. Their careers were over, but his fight wasn't. At 4 p.m., Elena showed up unannounced, banging on the front door. Derek stepped outside, keeping the door ajar. You can't just destroy us, she said, her voice raw. There's no us left, Derek replied. You chose that. She demanded he retract the footage, claiming it was illegal. He shook his head. It's my house. My cameras. All legal. Elena's eyes narrowed. I'll fight for Sophie and the house. Derek held her gaze. Try. The truth's out. She left, tires screeching, and Derek felt a flicker of relief. She was unraveling, not him. Sophie returned from her grandparents at 6 p.m., carrying a sketchbook. Drew a table design, she said, showing him a pencil sketch of a curved leg with a phoenix carving. For your next project. Derek smiled, the first real one in days. We'll build it together, he promised. As they ate takeout tacos, his phone pinged. A text from an unknown number. Check Ryan's social media. Curious, Derek opened Ryan's profile. A public post, now deleted but screenshotted by neighbors, showed Ryan ranting about false accusations and a crazy ex-husband. Comments piled up, locals calling him out, some mentioning the spray-painted car. The neighborhood had turned on him, amplifying Derek's justice without his lifting a finger. Jen called again at 8 p.m. Elena's lawyer reached out. They're pushing for mediation, but with your evidence, they're weak. Court dates set for next week. Derek thanked her, then sat with Sophie on the couch, watching a comedy rerun. Her laughter eased the tension in his shoulders. The photo of Ryan's car sat on his workbench, a reminder that Truth had allies he hadn't expected. As Sophie dozed off, Derek checked the cameras one last time. The driveway was empty, the night still. For now, he'd won a battle, but the war for Sophie's peace was far from over. Derek woke at 5:37 a.m. in his Atlanta garage. The hum of his table saw a distant memory as he sipped coffee over a legal pad. The divorce hearing was 3 days away, and Jen, his lawyer, had prepped him thoroughly. The security footage, timestamps, and audio cemented a fault-based case against Elena. Sophie, now back home, slept upstairs, her sketchbook open to a phoenix-etched table design they'd promised to build together. Derek's phone sat silent. No new messages from Elena since her failed plea at the doorstep. He checked the security app out of habit. No alerts, just the quiet driveway under dawn's gray light. At 7 a.m., he drove Sophie to school, her backpack heavy with books and a packed lunch he'd made. You'll be at the hearing, right? She asked, her voice small but steady. Derek shook his head. Jen says it's routine. You don't need to see that. Focus on your math test. She nodded, then added, I told Grandma I want to stay with you. She agrees. Derek's throat tightened. Maria and Carlos's support had been unwavering, a lifeline through the chaos. He dropped Sophie off, watching her join friends at the school gate, her resilience a quiet victory. Back home, Derek met Jen at a coffee shop near the courthouse. She slid a folder across the table, outlining the settlement proposal. Derek would keep the house, primary custody of Sophie, and most assets, with Elena entitled to minimal alimony due to her infidelity. They tried to challenge the cameras, Jen said, but the judge dismissed it. Your home, your rules, legally sound. Derek exhaled, the weight of months lifting slightly. He signed the final documents, his signature a commitment to closure. At noon, Mrs. Torres knocked on his door, holding a peach cobbler. The neighborhood's talking, she said, setting the dish on his workbench. Ryan's gone, moved out of state, I hear. Derek raised an eyebrow. Good riddance. She smirked. Also heard his car got towed for unpaid tickets. Shame. Derek hid a grin, suspecting her sources might include the spray paint artist from the photo. He thanked her, the cobbler a small token of a community that had rallied behind him. By 2 p.m., Derek was back in the garage, sanding Sophie's phoenix design into a walnut plank. His phone buzzed. A call from Mike at O'Malley's pub. You need to see this, Mike said. Derek drove over, finding the bar lively with afternoon regulars. Mike pointed to a laptop behind the counter, open to a local forum post. Someone had leaked an internal memo from Elena's company, detailing her and Ryan's termination for gross misconduct. The comments were brutal, locals piling on with stories of Ryan's arrogance at company events. Derek shook his head. Didn't need this to go so public. Mike shrugged. Truth's got legs, man. The twist came when Mike handed him a crumpled note left at the bar. Elena's at a motel on Route 85. She's asking for Sophie. Derek's stomach churned. Elena hadn't contacted Sophie directly, likely knowing she'd be refused. He called Maria, who confirmed Elena had reached out to her too, begging for a meeting. She's broken, Maria said. But Sophie's not ready. Derek agreed. Tell her to go through Jen. No more backdoors. Maria sighed. We're praying for her, but you and Sophie come first. That evening, Derek and Sophie worked on the phoenix table, her hands steady as she traced the carving. It's like us, she said, sanding an edge. Burned, but coming back stronger. Derek nodded, passing her a chisel. They worked until dusk, the garage filled with the rhythm of their tools. His phone pinged. A text from Jen. Judge signed off. House and custody are yours. Elena gets weekend visits, supervised for now. Derek showed Sophie, who read it quietly. Good, she said, returning to her work. At 8 p.m., they ate cobbler on the couch, a sci-fi movie playing in the background. Sophie leaned against him, her breathing soft. Derek's phone lit up with a notification from the security app. A delivery truck had left a package. He retrieved it, a small box with no return address, containing a single keychain shaped like a hammer, engraved with "Stay Strong." No note, but he recognized Mrs. Torres's handwriting. He smiled, slipping it into his pocket. The next day, Derek dropped Sophie at the aquarium with Maria, then met Mike at O'Malley's for a quick lunch. A regular at the bar, a retired cop, clapped Derek's shoulder. Heard about your win. Clean fight, good outcome. Derek nodded, the validation quiet, but real. Back in the garage, he finished the Phoenix table, its curves gleaming under a fresh coat of varnish. Sophie came home, her eyes lighting up at the sight. It's perfect, she said, running her fingers over the carving. Derek stood back, the weight of the past months settling into something solid, like wood shaped by careful hands. He'd exposed the truth, protected his daughter, and reclaimed their home. Elena and Ryan faced their consequences, stripped of jobs and reputation, while Derek and Sophie built forward, one cut at a time.